Alexander Isak camp has planned to force Liverpool transfer and make Newcastle buckle. Liverpool is set to sell Darwin Núñez to Al Hilal, and the Reds are now expected to make a fresh move to sign Alexander Isak from Newcastle in another big summer transfer. Alexander Isak remains linked with a move to Liverpool. Alexander Isak's representatives are set to ramp up the pressure on Newcastle United to sell the striker to Liverpool as the Reds prepare for another transfer bid following their agreement to offload Darwin Núñez to Al Hilal. Núñez is on the brink of a move to Al Hilal after a deal was struck worth an initial £46 million, $61.84 million, potentially rising beyond £50 million, $67.22 million. With Núñez's exit imminent, Liverpool are now anticipated to push forward with their plans to sign Isach, having already had a £110 million, $148 million bid turned down by Newcastle earlier this month. Isach is currently training separately from the first-team squad, and a fresh report from the ICE suggests that the players' representatives are ready to start applying pressure to the situation, hoping that the Magpies will eventually buckle. The report indicates that Newcastle continue to insist that he is not for sale, especially after their difficulties in trying to sign a new striker. Newcastle have already missed out on Hugo Ekitike, who joined Liverpool, while RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko is close to a move to Manchester United. Liverpool are reportedly eager to ensure any deal represents fair market value, with Newcastle valuing the 25-year-old at £150 million, $201 million. The report also mentions that Newcastle are now considering a move for Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson, valuing the forward at around £60 million, $80 million. However, Chelsea are believed to think Jackson is worth closer to £70 million, $94 million. When questioned about Isak's future earlier this week, Newcastle manager Eddie Howe stated, "You have to earn the right to train with us. We are Newcastle United. The player has a responsibility here. To be part of a team and part of a squad, you have to act in the right way." Alexander Isak's future remains up in the air, so that is also at play here. We will make sure that any player does that to earn the right to train with the group. No player can expect to act poorly and train with the group as normal. Of course, I'd like him to be there, but whether he will, I don't know at this moment in time. We have been here with the time difference, preparing for training and for games. Other people have been dealing with that situation back at home. Newcastle also continue to hold interest in Brentford star Yoane Wissa, though they only rate the forward at £30 million, which falls below the Bees' valuation. Brentford are equally determined to retain Wissa, especially following the departure of Brian Mbeumo. Liverpool admires Marc Guéhi transfer alternative as Reds face Tottenham competition. Liverpool transfer news, rumors, and gossip as the Reds continue to be linked with players ahead of the summer window. Jurgen Klopp's side are reportedly eyeing up a move for a Brentford defender. Liverpool are reportedly keeping a keen eye on Brentford defender Nathan Collins this summer. As per Give Me Sport, the ex-Wolves player is held in high regard within Anfield. Jarell Quansah, who made his move to Bayer Leverkusen earlier this summer, has yet to be replaced, making the acquisition of a center-back a top priority for Arne Slot. The defensive injury crisis of the 2020-2021 season, which threw Liverpool's title defense off track, remains a vivid memory, and the club can't risk a repeat. As we approach the new Premier League season, the Reds only have two dependable senior defenders in captain Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahima Konate, limiting rotation options. However, Liverpool could well face competition from Tottenham Hotspur for Collins, with Thomas Frank reportedly keen to sign the Republic of Ireland star. Collins was recently made club captain by his new head coach and fellow countryman Keith Andrews, which further complicates any potential exit from West London. Give Me Sport suggests that the Premier League champion's interest in Collins remains tentative, with no approach having been made yet. Liverpool is reportedly keeping tabs on Brentford captain Nathan Collins. Having carved out a crucial role at the heart of Brentford's defense, the club has no intention of letting Collins go, reports the Liverpool Echo. In other news, Liverpool have had two bids turned down for Crystal Palace and England defender Marc Guéhi, as reported by Foot Mercado. He asserts that the player won't cause a rift with Palace to join the Reds this summer. However, The Guardian's Ed Aarons implies that Anfield is believed to be his preferred destination, but there is a possibility that Newcastle United could reignite their interest. Palace have reportedly valued Guehi at $53 million, despite turning down a $93.2 million offer from Tottenham in January. Jaime Carraghers' brutal opinion on Isak: I don't want Liverpool to spend £150 million. Jaime Carragher: Isach, I don't want Liverpool to spend £150 million. Former Liverpool defender Jaime Carragher has opened up on Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak and how he may not be the ideal signing. With news this week stating that RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko has chosen Manchester United over the Magpies, Liverpool's hopes of signing Isaac have all but collapsed, as it means Newcastle are very unlikely to see the Sweden international at any price heading into the new season. The Premier League champions last week saw a £110 million plus add-ons bid turned down by Newcastle for the 25-year-old who scored 23 league goals last season and is said to be valued at £150 million. Now, speaking on the overlap fan debate, Carragher believes that the Reds should not be spending so much money on a striker the club do not necessarily need. He, Isak, will be an amazing signing, but from a fan's point of view for myself, I don't want Liverpool to spend £150 million on Isak. There's something about Liverpool buying another striker, Ekitike, and he's backup. Something about it doesn't feel right to me. I look at Isak and he's obviously thrown his toys out the pram once Arsenal signed a striker and Liverpool signed a striker. It feels a bit messy to me now. Liverpool have spent well over £200 million this summer already, with the arrivals of Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong, Milos Kerkez, Hugo Ekitike, and Georgi Mamardashvili. Despite such excellent business, Carragher believes that the club are being slightly reckless in the transfer market and are spending for the sake of it when it comes to Isak. For me, when I think of Liverpool, it doesn't look really planned. I don't think the plan is to buy a striker for £80 million and then be looking to buy another one for £120 million. In terms of what Liverpool have done in the summer by bringing in players, they've spent a lot of money and it doesn't feel like the Liverpool way of doing things so much. Newcastle are braced for a second bid for Isak. However, he is unlikely to be sold unless the club can find a ready-made replacement, which puts Isak in a tricky situation heading into the new campaign. Liverpool fail with 2 insulting Marc Guehi bids. Crystal Palace have rejected 2 insulting bids from Liverpool for Marc Guehi, according to a report. The free-spending Reds are still not done in the market as 2 priorities remain unresolved. The first is to get a deal for top target Alexander Isak over the line. The second pressing issue is to bolster the club's defensive options. Following the sale of Jarell Quansah, Liverpool only have Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Joe Gomez available as natural, senior center backs, and this is clearly not enough. The Anfield Club have been far from convincing defensively in pre-season. So there is a good argument to be made that sporting director Richard Hughes should prioritize the signing of a defender over Isak. Crystal Palace star Marc Guehi is viewed as a top target for the center-back position, but this potential deal is proving very difficult for Liverpool, who are wary not to overspend given that he only has a year remaining on his contract. Liverpool bids rejected. According to Foot Mercado, Liverpool have already placed 2 bids for the England defender, both of which were deemed insulting and subsequently rejected by Crystal Palace. The Eagles are demanding at least €55 million for Guehi, which is a significant premium on his estimated transfer value, ETV, of €41.6 million. Liverpool are unwilling to match Palace's demands and are ready to move on to different targets. It is claimed that the Eagles are demanding at least €55 million for Guehi, which is a significant premium on his estimated transfer value, AETV, of €41.6 million. Liverpool are unwilling to match Palace's demands and are ready to move on to different targets, it is claimed. Guehi, for his part, would be keen on a move to Merseyside, but he remains respectful of Palace and will not agitate for a transfer. Liverpool could try to sign him on a Bosman next summer, but there is clearly a well-founded urgency to sign a defender this summer. Alexander Isak transfer, not a strange scenario, as bold Liverpool strategy defended. Liverpool continue to be interested in Newcastle United forward Alexander Isak, despite seeing £110 million bid rejected last week. Alexander Isak of Newcastle United Michael Owen believes Newcastle United striker Alexander Isak moving to Liverpool ticks a lot of boxes and has dismissed criticism over the pursuit of the player. The Reds saw a £110 million bid for Isach rejected by the Magpies last week, having been longtime admirers of the Sweden international. Isach has informed Newcastle of his desire to seek a fresh challenge elsewhere, with Liverpool understood to be his preferred destination. Reports have also suggested he has no intention of signing a new contract at St. James Park, with 3 years left to run on his present deal. The 25-year-old missed Newcastle's tour of the Far East due to a minor injury and was instead spotted training in Spain with a personal instructor, but has since returned to the Magpies training ground amid a warning from boss Eddie Howe that he must earn the right to rejoin the first-team squad. Liverpool have no plans to make a second bid for Isach as things stand, but haven't ended their interest and are keeping a watchful eye on developments at Newcastle. And while both the Reds and Isach have been lambasted by some for their behavior, former Newcastle and Liverpool forward Owen believes their respective actions are merely par for the course. "This is not a strange scenario," he said. "It happens all the time. It's a high-profile scenario, but it's the same scenario as what happens all the time." There are a lot of simple things that go into the discussion. From Newcastle's point of view, they've got a player who's under contract, and they've got to weigh up the balance of the finances, what they could receive, maybe having an unhappy player, or maybe keeping someone against his will. But at the end of the day, they've got him tied to a contract, so they do hold a big say in this whole scenario. There are 3 different positions at play here, and we'll see how it transpires, Owen added. Remember that Newcastle are obviously in the Champions League as well. At the start of the season, Newcastle are offering exactly what Liverpool are in terms of the competitions they're in. However, we all, or at least the vast majority of people, would say that Liverpool have a better chance of winning the league, winning the Champions League, and winning other trophies than Newcastle. And if that's the case, and the contract will inevitably be a lot better if he makes a move to Liverpool, then it ticks a lot of boxes. You can see why it could be turning the player's head. You can see why Liverpool would want him. Liverpool are in the process of reconfiguring their forward options, with Hugo Ekitike having joined from Eintracht Frankfurt for an initial £69 million, while Luis Diaz has departed to Bayern Munich for £65.5 million. And speaking to Ask Gamblers on behalf of the Echo, Owen believes Darwin Núñez could be the next to leave the club. "Listen, Núñez is obviously a talented boy. That's why he got signed by Liverpool. But is he going to be a starter?" said Owen. "Is he going to improve significantly enough to justify it? If you're going to be a Liverpool center forward at the moment, you need to be one of the very, very best in the world. And is he that? I don't think so, no. I think he's an asset that Liverpool will be thinking about trading, depending on how they go in the transfer market. If Isak comes, then I think he might be surplus, and they might be best offloading and getting some money for him, because he is going to be in demand for a certain type of team." Of Diaz departing, Owen added, "I was surprised. From the player's point of view, I couldn't understand why he would want to leave the reigning champions, a team that's going to have an excellent chance of winning the Champions League this season, for a team that isn't as good as Liverpool at the moment, in my opinion. So unless Liverpool wanted to cash in or needed to bring some money in to re-energize other positions, I don't know. He's definitely replaceable, but I did like him. I thought he was good, and he will be missed."